Are you hearing me, Mr. Krunal, Mr. Murli? Can you please type yes in the chat box so that I can proceed further? Hello, Mr. Krunal, Mr. Murli. If you can hear me, a yes from your side will be great help.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Subhashis, we can hear you.
I can also hear you, yes.
Please mute your mic and please close out all types of background noise and do not put on your webcam. It's going to be a session through the chat box. So whatever queries you might be having, please type it out in the chat box. Okay, so we can begin the session. So you may please start shooting off your questions, whatever doubts you might be having. Mr. Murli, hello, Mr. Murli, do you have any question? Okay, I understand, Mr. Murli. It's okay. So I guess other participants are there. I see someone called Amy and Krunal have joined us. Hi, Amy. Hi, Krunal. You may start asking your questions if you have any. Yeah. Three of them. 3, 4 are.
स्टार्ट कर दीजिए सिद्धार्थ सर.
Yeah.
हाँ.
Hello, Mr. M.A. Dr. Avijit Bakshi. Are you hearing me? You can start asking questions. Any doubts whatsoever it might be. You may please ask your question. Hello, Shivani. Glad to see you after many days. You have not been attending the classes. Anyway, you can ask your doubts regarding Module 1. I hope you have studied the entire Module 1. Shivani, are you hearing me? Dr. Avijit Bakshi, Krunal, Mr. Murli, and Amy, and anybody else who have all joined us. Please ask your doubts regarding Module 1. Okay, it seems that you are not having any questions. So I will just start discussing a very important concept in finance. That is a concept is known as the time value of money. Okay. So on the screen, you can see I have a few parameters in Excel. I will try to explain to you what is the time value of money concept all about. Okay. The concept name is time value of money. Hi Rahul, glad that you joined us. So I was just starting showing you how to understand the time value of money concept. It essentially says that if you are having money today, you can invest today and have a compounding effect which will result in a greater sum of money available to you in the near future or maybe in the far future. So it is better to have money today and invest today instead of getting the money after a few years. I will just illustrate the example. I will just illustrate the concept through the help of an example. So just follow the screen. Say if you want to become a crorepati, that is you want to have a sum of 1 crore rupees, 1 CR, say in 20 years. So you could just write here 20 years. I'm sorry, the keyboard is not working. Just a minute, I'll be back. Okay, now we solved the problem. So what I was trying to show you that if you want to become a crorepati, say in 20 years, so you just enter 20 in the cell in front of n per. N per means number of compounding periods. Okay, and what is the target value? That is 1 crore. So just write 1 crore here. And what is the rate of return you are looking? If you are going to invest money into equity, say you are going to look at a return of 15%. So you just enter the 15% return in front of the rate, wherever the rate is written here. You are going to invest at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month. Remember, this is a very important concept. If you invest your money at the beginning of the month continuously for 20 years, then for every month, your money has one extra month in the total period to grow. But if you invest at the end of the month every year, every month for 20 years, then your money has one less month to grow. So it is always better if you can be disciplined and invest your money at the beginning of the month. So in Excel, what is the language? If you are investing at the beginning of the month, then you have to write as 1. If you are going to invest at the end of the month, you have to type 0. So I'll just show you the difference. What will be the difference if you type 0 or if you type 1? That is, if you invest at the beginning of the month or you invest at the end of the month, and how does it affect your ultimate corpus? We'll just check it out. PV means present value. Present value, I am assuming that you are not having any money lump sum to invest. So I just put it as 0. But PMT is the thing about which you want to calculate. That what is the amount of monthly investment you need to make to reach your target value of 1 crore. Okay. So PMT will write just is equal to PMT. You will open the bracket. Then you can see on the screen. It will show you the breakup of the formula. What you're supposed to give rate 15%, you will just have to simply select the cell. But since here we are going to talk about the monthly mode of investment, you are trying to find out how much money you are going to attend monthly. So just divide the rate by 12. This is going to be your mode of investment, sorry, the frequency of investment. So if the frequency of investment is quarterly, then you have to divide by 4. If it is half yearly, then you have to divide by 6. If it is monthly, you have to divide by 12. So just put a comma after that. And per is means what? 20 years. But your money is going to be invested monthly mode for 20 years. So 20 into 12. What is the frequency of investment? That is monthly. So you will multiply the N per by your frequency. Again, coming to the previous example, previous talk which I was just telling you right now. If you are going to invest quarterly, then you have to do 20 years into 4. That means 80 compounding periods. But since here it is monthly mode, so you have to do 20 into 12. I hope all of you are understanding what I'm trying to do. Then present value you have to select. Present value you have to just select the cell. Future value, this is going to be your target price, target value you have to reach, and type as 0. So here you are asking the Excel to calculate for you how much money will be required to be invested by you if you are investing at the end of the month. And the money is supposed to be invested in the market for 20 years. Every month you are investing. And the money is growing at the rate of 15% per annum. So let us check out the result. The value is 6,678. You can just put it in the round figure this way, 6679. So 6679 is the amount of investment which you need to make per month for 20 years if the money is growing at the rate of 15%. Obviously, this kind of returns can only be given by equity, not by debt, because in debt we all know the rate of return is very less, like 6 to 7%. This was if you invest at the end of the month. Now, what happens if you invest at the beginning of the month? Just type it out 1. So earlier it was 6679. Now it is 6597. What difference does it make? 82 rupees per month. So if you say 82 rupees difference per month, it is not very high. It does not matter to me. Would you like to see how does it matter to you? 82 rupees difference per month, you have to invest more if you invest at the end of the month. So 82 rupees into 12, that is for 1 year, into 20 years, it will cost you 20,000 rupees. So if you're disciplined and you can invest right from the beginning of the month in a mutual fund or in any stock, you have to invest this much less. But if you are not disciplined, you cannot manage your expenses and you end up starting an SIP or starting an investment into mutual funds or stock for that matter at the end of the month, then you have to invest this much more during the entire 20 years. So I guess all of us, what I mean to say, lots of persons in India and many of you will also aspire to become a crorepati from your own money, from your own hard-earned earnings. This way you can plan if your horizon is 20 years. If your horizon is a bit long, it is even more easy. Just see, if you are having a time horizon of 30 years, you are required to invest very less amount of money, hardly 1500 rupees per month. I hope all of you are understanding. Mr. Avijit, Amol, MA, Krunal, Mr. Rahul, are you getting it? Please type your reply in the chat box. Okay, this was just an introductory thing. Now I guess lots of persons have joined us. So you have any queries, please ask me. Or should I continue with my topic on time value of money? Mr. Rahul, you have any questions? Mr. Mukesh, Avijit Bakshi. Okay. Dr. Avijit Bakshi has a question, multi-bagger. Great. So multi-bagger is essentially when you are looking at a stock which is available at a low price, which was available at a low price many years ago, but now it is very, very highly priced. I'll show you the example of MRF. Just give me a minute. You can go to this website called valueresearchonline.com. go to the bottom portion of the page and select the company's name. I am going to select the MRF. So I will just select the M portion. We all know that the tire companies in last 1 year, they have had a great run because obviously they were sitting on huge profits. That is why you see the MRF price has now become what? 72,901. That is nearly 73,000 per share. But what was the price say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you would like to see? Today we are standing at June 17. 5 years back, that is 2012. Let us check out the 5 years graph. 5 years ago, it was at 10,452. More or less, you can understand the example of a multi-bagger, a stock which was available at 10,452 5 years ago, and now it's available at 73,000. So what's the rate of return? We can again calculate in Excel. You can type it out as N per 5 years. Future value means what? What is the price of the stock today? 73,000. To put it in a round figure, type will not matter because we are talking about the lump sum investment. Why I am putting as minus sign in front of 10,450? Because this was the price at which you could have purchased the stock 5 years back. And type in PMT, we will put it as 0 because herein we are just supposed to calculate the rate of return. How can it be classified as a multi-bagger? Type in PMT. Herein you will enter any values apart from 0 only when the frequency of compounding is different from yearly. Whenever the frequency of compounding is different from yearly. So herein my frequency of compounding is not different from yearly because it is yearly compounding only. So I'll just put it as rate. I'll just calculate the rate function. What's the rate of return? You have to select the cell N per. PMT is 0. PV is, just select the cell. Future value is 73,000. Type as this. And guess you can leave it. What is the rate of return? 48%. This is just one example, although the price is very high. Similarly, you can find other stocks also in the market, which in the span of 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, they have multiplied many times, manifold times they have multiplied. And why it was possible? Because obviously the company was making huge profits. I hope I am able to clarify your query, Mr. Bakshi. Is it okay? Okay. Any more doubts? Okay, then I'll just revert to my previous example, which I was trying to work it out. So in a previous example, I was explaining that if you have long-term horizon, in my earlier example, I was showing you that if you have only 20 years as time horizon, if your age is say 40 and you want to have a sum of 1 crore by the age of 60, then you have only 20 years to reach 1 crore. Then obviously you have to invest more. How much more? That was rupees 6,697. But if you are young, you start your SIP in a young age, then you have more time frame to reach your goal. So you have to invest less from your pocket. It is a simple theory. The earlier you start, the earlier you reach there, and it will be more easy on your pocket. The only thing is that you have to invest continuously in a disciplined manner. Yeah, Mr. Rahul has a question. Okay. Mr. Rahul, I said that if you invest at the beginning of the month, beginning means in the Excel's language, you have to type S1. Okay. At the beginning of the month, if you invest, then your every installment of money, that is rupees 1,500, rupees 1427 in this case, then your every installment of rupees 1427 will have one more month to stay invested in the markets. But if you invest the same amount of money at the end of the month, obviously it will have one less month every year to be staying invested in the market. That is why you see, if you type it out as 0, that is you are investing your money at the end of the month, then you have to invest more. How much more it is? 1,444. Earlier it was 1,427. So you have to invest rupees 17 more per month. This might seem to be a very small sum of money, but again, if you multiply this 17 rupees per month into 12 months into 30 years, that comes to 6,000, more than 6,000 rupees. So this much you have to spend more, you have to invest more if you start at the end of the month, because your money is having less months, some less time to stay invested in the markets. That is why I was advising you to start at the beginning of the month. Whenever you choose your SIP, they ask you to choose the dates on which the amount of money, the SIP installment will be debited from the bank account. Say for example, they will ask you to choose the dates from 1, 7th, 10th, 20th and 28th. So what usually people do, as per the availability of the cash flow in the bank account, they will choose the dates. But ideally, I'm asking you to choose the date of like 1 or 5, whatever is the date given in the first week of the month. By that way, your money will have more time period to stay invested, and more power of compounding will be working in your favor. I hope I am able to clarify you, Mr. Rahul. Okay. Avijit Bakshi has a query. Just let me go to the query. After FPO, how share price adjust? Okay. FPO, Mr. Avijit Bakshi, can you tell me in recent times if you have seen any company coming out with an FPO? Can you give me the name of just any one company? Then perhaps I can show you a real practical example. Otherwise, okay, I'll just then try to give you an example from my own memory. Say if the CMP of a stock is rupees 500 and number of shares in market that is with the public holding. Number of shares in the public holding is 10 crores. So company is trading in the steel sector. I am assuming this company to be trading in the steel sector, whose price is rupees 500, and number of shares in the market that is with the public. Public means what? With people like you and me. And obviously this also includes the FIIs and the DIIs. FIIs means what? Financial foreign institutional investor, and DIIs means domestic institutional investor, and of course including the retail public like us. So together all these three constituents hold 10 crore shares. Now suddenly the company decides to raise more money through equity route, but already the company is listed, so the company comes out with an FPO, wherein the company decides to offer to the public the share at a lower price, say like 480, because obviously if the company decides to give the equity share at a lower price to the public, only then will the public be interested to buy the share directly from the company. Otherwise they could have actually gone to the share broker and purchased it directly from the share market, isn't it? Until unless company gives them some discount to the current market price, why will the public go to the company directly? So they will offer the share at rupees 480. How many number of shares they will offer? How many number of shares? Just for example, I am giving you. Say they decide to offer 2 crore shares. 2 crore shares they are issuing again. So now in the market, what will be the total supply of shares? Total number of shares, 10 crores plus 2 crores. The total number of shares will become 12 crores. Total number of shares in the market will become 12 crores, and whenever you will see that there is more issuance of shares by the company under any name whatsoever, like FPO, or you are using any other route, any other method, but wherein the ultimate result is increasing the number of shares in the public holding. So obviously there will be more supply of shares, and more supply of shares means what? The CMP is going to fall. So usually you will see whenever the FPO is over and after the allotment of shares, the price comes to more or less the same levels. It can go to 480, it can become 490, it can become 485, That is why usually after the FPO, the price usually falls in the market because of more supply. But if it's a growing company, you can still buy for long-term growth. Are you understanding, Mr. Bakshi? So even if the price falls after the FPO, if the company is a growing one, the short-term market is giving an opportunity to buy. Okay, very well. Any other question you guys have? Krunal, MA, Mr. Amol. QIP. Okay. You have a query on QIP. Let me show you something. You can use this website. It's a very, very famous one, Wikipedia. So it simply says that it's a capital raising tool, just like in India, various companies, they raise equity capital from the public by the name of IPO, FPO, offer for sale, rights issue. Similarly, when they want to raise money from the institutional investor, so they will not allot them in a retail manner, but they will allot them the shares in a bulk manner, whereby the tool name is qualified institutional placement. In short form, it is called QIP. So this is also some sort of private placement, because this thing does not happens to the stock exchange. There is a deal between the company who wants to raise capital and the company who wants to invest into the shares of the company. So they have a deal. I want to say they negotiate the deal privately. So it is some sort of private placement also. And obviously they invest, they actually allot the shares in huge quantity, say $500 million, 500 or 500 crores. It is a deal between a company who raises capital and an institutional investor, those who will want to buy some stake in the company in a huge quantity, not people like the retail investors who will buy 100 shares, 200 shares. There is a difference. That's the basic funda. And mind you, even if the company is raising QIP, qualified institutional placement, that still amounts to increasing the public shareholding, because qualified institutional placement, who is buying the QIPs, who is investing into QIPs, it is the institutional investors. They are still part of the public shareholding only. As per the SEBI's definition, public shareholding includes the FIIs, DIIs, and the retail investors. So all these methods of raising equity capital will ultimately go to increase the liquidity in the market, and price of the company's shares might fall. Okay, Krunal has a question: how to apply an IPO in HNI category? It is very simple. You just have to tick mark the HNI category. I mean to say, you have to just check mark the HNI category, and your amount of investment should be more than rupees 2 lakh. Because as per SEBI's rule, if anybody is a retail investor, he has to apply less than 2 lakhs or up to 2 lakhs. Retail investor, the criteria is application size. It is up to 2 lakh. And what do you get? A discount, which is usually 5% discount. But if you apply in the HNI category, then application size is more than 2 lakh. But what do you miss out? You don't get discount. So is it clear, Mr. Krunal? It all depends what amount of money you want to invest in the IPO. So I'm sorry, I think I've missed out a question. Vijit Bakshi had asked about QIP, which I explained. QIB. Do you want me to explain QIB, or you were asking only about QIP? Okay, I've seen again the question. Just a minute, I'll explain. Qualified institutional bidder, just as I was explaining to Mr. Krunal, that there are two categories, retail investor and HNI, when we talk about the IPOs. So similarly, there's a third category called QIB. Now, who is a QIB? The full form is Qualified Institutional Bidder, wherein 50% of the issue size is reserved. I'll just explain you. Just let me type it out. In the case of qualified institutional bidder, suppose if the company is coming out with an IPO of 20 crore shares, 20 crore shares, and these are being offered to the public, say at rupees 60. Okay, so the issue size is what? 20 crores into rupees 60. Okay, this is the issue size. So 50% of this issue size, I am to say 50% of 20 crore shares, they are reserved for qualified institutional bidder. 35% of the issue size, that is 35% of 20 crore shares, is reserved for the retail investor. And for the HNI, usually the reservation is 10 to 15%. That is how the IPO operates. Sorry, the screen got disturbed. Are you getting it, Mr. Avijit? I hope it is clear what is QIB. QIBs are the guys who get the largest share in the IPO because they are institutional bidder. They can apply for any amount. There is no limitation of 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs. Okay. There's a question earlier by Mr. Amol. Yeah, Mr. Amol, I'm just checking out your question. In my example of calculations, these are the most basic ones. You see in Excel there are more than 3000 formulas, and out of those 3000 formulas there are hardly 50 financial functions which you can learn. So either you can check out any financial Excel calculations while a video on the YouTube, or you can use even F1 in Excel. I'm afraid I cannot give you any particular guide, but you can just start learning with the help of the examples which I've just shown you. Then later on you can take it forward from the YouTube videos or from our website also. There might be some videos available. Therein you can just start. There are many guides available on the net for free also. But these are the most basic ones. I hope you are clear with this. What does NPER stand for? What does FV, rate, type, PMT and PV stands for? Is it clear to you? Whatever functions I was using, Mr. Amol. Okay, great. I see someone new has joined us by the name of Ruchika. Sorry. Hello, Ruchika. You have any questions, please ask. Mr. Krunal, Rahul, no queries? Okay, then I'll just give you one more interpretation of my earlier example. Say if a guy, I'll just take your example, Mr. Amol. Mr. Amol, may I know your age? Just for the sake of preparing a real life example. Okay, Mr. Amol, age is 40. So exactly he has 20 years to plan for his retirement. And suppose he decides, Mr. Krunal, I will come to your question later on. Just give me 2 minutes to explain the current topic. So as I was talking to you, Mr. Amol's age is 40 and he has 20 years before he retires. And he decides that I would need 1 crore sum of money for my retirement. 1 crore is too small a sum of money, isn't it? So let us make it 2 crores. So if he were to get a sum of money like 2 crores at the end of 20 years, then he has to invest 13,358. Again, when he has to invest at the end of the month. But if he invests at the beginning of the month, then the sum of money comes down to 13,193. That's a great difference if you take on a monthly basis for next 20 years. Okay, but if he decides to start investing for his future needs by 2 years, that means he will start investing and he will accumulate for 18 years. Then what happens? You see what's the kind of difference? Nearly 5,000 rupees more per month he has to invest. So cost of delay will be what? 5,000 rupees into 12, that is for 12 months into 18 years. What cost of delay you have to bear, Mr. Amol? That is nearly a cost of 10 lakhs 80,000. So time value of money concept, if you really understand, you can work out great calculations in Excel and you can make your own financial plan. I hope you will appreciate the benefit of starting early. This is a very, very fundamental thing which I just showed by taking the real life example of Mr. Amol. Thanks for your data. Now let me proceed to Mr. Krunal's question. How to decide whether the share value is underpriced or overpriced? Okay, there are different methods for that, Mr. Krunal. There can be the dividend discounting method, and there can be different other methods like free cash flow. So you have to study that first from the books. Then if you have much more complex questions, because it will be difficult to explain actually each and everything on the screen. But for the moment, I can tell you this much, that there are various methods to decide whether the share value is underpriced or overpriced or fairly priced. But one such method which I think I can explain to you in a short time is again using the power of compounding. I will not power of compounding, but using the Excel function only. Say if you are going to invest into a share and wherein you have the track record of a company, of that company for the past 5 years, that how much dividend they have paid out. So for the first year of holding, for the first year of your holding, if you can expect to have a dividend of rupees 100, you can expect to have, that means it will be a positive cash inflow for you. So that is why I'm writing as positive. Okay. Cash flow for the second year. Second year you will have what? Second year you will expect the dividend to grow to rupees 200. Okay. Third year you expect the dividend to grow to rupees 300. Fourth year you expect the dividend to grow to rupees 400. And ultimately you will sell the shares. You expect to sell the shares at the then current prevailing price. Say it can be rupees 1,000. Okay. And you want to know whether this share whose CMP in the market is right now might be rupees 300. You want to know whether this share is underpriced or overpriced or fairly valued, whether it is a good buy. So let us calculate a function called NPV, that is net present value. What should be the present value of the share? Then I will compare that value with the CMP. Otherwise, how will I decide? And I'm expecting the rate of dividends growth. That rate has to be given actually. Sorry for that. You have to explain the rate concept. Say 10% is the rate of growth of the company. Then you can calculate this NPV. So rate is 10%. Values, all the values you can just calculate. So essentially you're going to calculate the present value of the future cash flows, isn't it? Whenever you invest into share, what do you get as the cash inflows? That's the dividends. And ultimately your selling price. So NPV is 1376, if you can just put it in a round figure. And the share is available to you at a damn cheap price. I just made this example so the figure might seem to you some bit of absurdness, but this can be one simple method at your level. After this, there are many methods given in the book, like dividend discounting method or free cash flow method or EV by EBITDA. This is a very simple method using the cash flow system. This is nothing but the cash flow. I hope it's clear to you. I think I've been able to help you somewhat. Let me check on the other person's questions. Dr. Avijit has a question on PEG ratio. Where to find the list of scripts listed on BSc sector wise? Waiting for a name. Your name is not showing. I'll take your question in a while, Mr. Bakshi. I'll just solve this guy's questions. You can go to this website bscindia.com, and if you want to know the sector wise which scripts are listed, perhaps you can try with these different kinds of indices. This way you can start searching from the BSc website only. There are different indices given there. You have to just explore them. For example, here they are given sector-wise market capitalization. You can also see which sector is contributing how much to the Sensex. You have to explore this website. Herein you are sure to find what you are searching. Okay. I don't know the format. You have to search in the BSc website. Dr. Avijit Bakshi has a question of what is a category B stock. You see, on the BSc, they follow the system of classifying the stocks into Group A, Group B, or Group AB, even Group Z also. That is all based upon their internal criteria, whether the stock is a large cap company or a mid cap or a small cap. The more stronger company is there. I mean to say, the more stronger company is there in terms of balance sheet, in terms of number of customers, in terms of revenue diversification. Then they put it in the Group A stock. Otherwise, they put it in Group B stock. If the company is even below that category, then they classify the company into Group AB stock. But these kind of classifications are not of much use nowadays. You simply should see whether the company is a large cap or a mid cap. This type of grouping was used many years back. Now it has become almost say irrelevant. Mr. Amol, you want to explain me once again what the retirement calculations you meant to say? Can you please be more specific, Mr. Amol? What do you want to explain me once again? Which things? Because I've been explaining a lot of concepts here. Okay, NPV concept. Okay, again, please have a look at the screen. I told you that you are going to analyze a company, whether the company is fit for investment or not. So that company is available at a price of rupees 300 in the market. And if you hold that company, your projections, I mean to say, you have taken the help of a fundamental analyst, or you have taken the help of your research oriented broking house, whose team of analysts has analyzed that if you hold this company in the first year of holding, that company can give you 100 rupees dividend. Second year 200, third year 300, fourth year 400, fifth year rupees 1000 will be your selling price, can be your selling price. All these are, remember, pure projections, pure estimation of the company's future earnings. So if the rate of growth of the company is 10%, then using this formula of NPV, to type out NPV, you open the bracket, then automatically this values will come. You have to just input it. Rate, you have to select the cell. Value 1, value 2, you have to just select the entire thing and pull it down and close the bracket. So you get the NPV as rupees 1376. That means the present value should have been much more than at what it is available right now in the market. So it is a steal. It's a damn cheap buy. You should buy the stock. Okay. I cannot see the name of this person. He's asking about the Spider software cost. I'm afraid I'm not the right person to answer this question. Can you please shoot off your question to the support team? They will be better placed to answer this question. And Mr. Avijit Bakshi, I remember he was asking a question about the PEG ratio. So whenever the P ratio is too low, P ratio, I hope Mr. Bakshi, P ratio is a net profit. Sorry, it is CMP divided by EPS. So when this ratio is either too low or too high and confusing for the analyst to decide whether to give a buy call or a sell call on the company, then he decides to use the PEG ratio. But this is a question about the fundamental analysis. So first, I would like you to understand, if you really understand this P ratio. Do you understand the P ratio concept, Mr. Bakshi? Then we can proceed to this concept of PEG ratio. Okay, let me show you something. You can use, there are lots of free websites available like Wikipedia, Investopedia. Just opening. So the PEG ratio, the formula is what? P ratio divided by earnings growth rate. Now what is this earnings growth rate? I will have to give you an example because they've given the example in terms of dollar. So again, I'll go to my Excel screen. 2015, 2016, 2016 to 17. Let us take example of 2 accounting years. I bet you understand what is EPS, that is earnings per share. So suppose the company's earning per share, any XYZ company, let us write the name also, XYZ company. The EPS is 50 rupees per share, and for 2016-17 it is 70 rupees per share. Whereas the number of shares in the market is what? Number of shares in the market means number of shares with the public. That's the public holding. That is 10 crore. Okay. Here also, in next year also, you have the same kind of shareholding pattern. No increase or no decrease. So what is the rate of EPS growth? What is the rate of EPS growth? That is 20 divided by 50. That is 70 minus 50. It is, the stock has grown by 20 rupees. But if you want to see in the percentage terms, you will see that the stock has, I'm to say the company's earnings is growing at the rate of 40%. If you say, if you take these 2 years data, and the company's CMP, let us check out the CMP. CMP was 200. Now the stock has fallen for some unknown reason to even low price like 180. Now what is the company's PE ratio? CMP divided by EPS, 200 divided by 50. So earlier the stock was available at a PE of 4. At a PE of 4, but now the stock is available at what? At what type of PE? The stock is available at low PE. Are you getting it, Mr. Bakshi? What I'm trying to show you, that if we have 2 accounting years data for a company, wherein in the first year the company was available at a PE of 4, that is the company is trading at 4 times of its earning. You can see earnings are rupees 50. Company was trading at 4 times, no? It was available at rupees 200. But now company is available cheap. PE ratio has become lower, and the reason cannot be understood by the analyst. He is confused whether to what kind of call he should give on the stock. So we will use the PEG ratio. Now let us go back to the screen. What is the PEG ratio formula was? P ratio divided by earnings growth rate. P ratio, that is 2.57 divided by earnings growth rate. So PEG ratio is what? 6.42, 6.43 if you put it a round figure. So you have to calculate the PEG ratio. If the PEG ratio is more than 1, you can generally say that the company is a buy. I mean to say this ratio is used by the analyst or should be used by even by us also only when P ratio is too low for some unknown reason which cannot be explained, which cannot be understood. Then you use the price to earnings growth ratio. Compared to the price, what is the growth rate of the earnings? If it is high, then I can buy the stock. Okay. Mr. Krunal had a question for fastest quarterly or yearly result update. Which are the reference websites you prefer? Actually, I would prefer directly the respective company's website to be very accurate. After that, you can go to the website of NSE, BSE also. Okay, Mr. Krunal, is there any question which I might have missed while answering this? Just let me check it. Okay, no more questions. Hello, Ruchika, you have any question? Yes, Mr. Bakshi. PEG should be more than one. You can also take the help of this website, Investopedia, in understanding more examples. I try to show you a small example on the Excel screen. Actually, how you will decide if the PEG ratio is good enough, although I had shown you the data for one company only, but for 2 accounting years. But actually should compare this PEG ratio with the another company operating in the same sector. Yes, that is what I am trying to tell you. More than one, it means a buy call, but even if it is more than one, is it a good buy? For that to decide, you have to compare the PEG ratio of one company with the PEG ratio of another company, and both of them should be operating in the same sector. So whichever company is having a higher PEG ratio, you can buy that. Okay, Mr. Bakshi, I hope I'm clear. You want more practical examples? Let us go to this website called screener.in. Just a minute, I'm just opening the website. This website is a free website wherein you can create a login ID for free. So once you create a login ID for free, then you can just type out the name of any company and see the results, see all different type of ratios. So let us take the ratio of Tata Motors. PEG ratio of Tata Motors. Everybody has heard the name of Tata Motors, I hope. Tata Motors is available at a price of 467, okay, and its PEG ratio is 2.95. What is the earning per share? Earning per share also, let us find it out. Sorry, we are supposed to calculate the PE ratio. PE ratio, whether they have given on the screen. Price to earning. Yeah, price to earning ratio, you can see on the screen. PE ratio is 19.92 and PEG ratio is 2.95. Now, what sense do you make out of it? So you have to compare this Tata Motors to any one of the peers. That is the companies who operate in the same sector. And Tata Motors is into what? Making of commercial vehicles. So probably you can see Ashok Leyland will be a fit competitor. So let us check out Ashok Leyland. What does the ratio for Ashok Leyland tell us? Ashok Leyland PEG ratio is lower. Even P is lower. So if you want to buy a valuable stock, what do you say, a growing stock, but it is available at a cheaper valuation. Here you can see Tata Motors PE ratio is higher than Ashok Leyland, but PEG ratio is also lower because growth here seems to be lower. But if you want to buy a cheaply valued stock, then maybe Ashok Leyland is good. It is better than Tata Motors. This way you can compare from this website. You can practice on your own. Okay, Mr. Amol. I'll just type it out, the name of the website, screener.in. You can start using this website. It's a very, very good informative website. And the biggest plus point is it is available for free. You guys have got any more questions? Mr. Mukesh, Harshita Malhotra, she has joined us some time back, but no questions. Now, Mr. Bakshi, what do you mean by this word behest? I'm not getting it. Can you please enlighten me? Okay, balance sheet. In the balance sheet, I don't think you will find this the shares held by promoters. Actually, you should see the any format of any particular company, whether they are submitting, whether they are showing you the promoter shareholding in the balance sheet or in some other report. But obviously, in the annual result, they will be disclosing that what is the number of shares held by the promoters and what the number of shares held by other stakeholders. Somewhere in the annual report, they will be showing you. So you got to check out the annual result, annual report of any company, wherein you can find the answer to your question. Okay, and again, I cannot see the name of the person. Does it give ROE, ROA, or profitability ratios? Sure, it gives. Return on equity is what you are talking about. ROE, return on equity. This is of Ashok Leyland, 22.33. Okay. Similarly, you can talk about ROA, that is return on assets. Return on assets 10.75. You can check out that of the competitors. Go back to Tata Motors screen. Tata Motors ROE, ROA, you can find it out. Return on equity is 18.34. Return on assets is 7.04. So you can just type out the ratios name, and from there on the list will pick up the whatever the ratios list it has. This is the latest one actually for March 17. For March 16, you have to again scroll down and check out the results. For that, you have to see this profit loss, balance sheet, cash flow. You have to calculate from that. From this website also you can get lots of data. Mr. Bakshi, as I told you earlier, whatever the number of shares the company issues to the public, that obviously will not be including the promoter holding. Promoter holding is always separate. Okay. Any more questions? Mr. Murli, Mukesh, Ashita, Rahul. Rahul is offline. And Ruchika, Mr. Amol, and Mr. Anand. Your name still is not displaying. You should write your name, Mr. Anand. Anyway, jokes apart. What do you mean by I don't know how to do it? What you want to know? Mr. Waiting for name, sorry, Mr. Anand. What do you don't know how to do it? I'm not getting you. I'm not getting your query, Mr. Anand. I do notify my on the screen. What are you trying to type? Mr. Bakshi, your question is that where the promoter's holding goes. It does not go anywhere. It will be shown separately in the books of accounts. It will be shown separately in the balance sheet or in the annual report. It will be there only, but it will be shown separately. Promoters holding, obviously, it is with the promoters only, and public holding is with the public. Together, you have the total share capital. It is not clickable. Otherwise, I could have showed you. You see in this balance sheet, whatever the share capital is there of this company. In other websites, you can click on this and get the breakup. You have to type your name, Mr. Anand. When you log in, you have to type your name. Actually, you can log in without typing your name. That's how you have logged in. Okay, any more questions you have, guys? You can also see in this website different pros and cons, that is different positive points and different negative points. This website is analyzed for us. They have given their own opinion that this company called Tata Motors, what is the negative point about this company? That promoter holding is very low. Mr. Bakshi, if you are hearing me, you can just see the live example. Promoter holding is nearly 35% only. Now where does this go? Obviously this lies with the promoters, that is the Tata Sons or Tata Group. Rest of the holding is with the FIIs or DIIs or the public. This way you can see various data: market cap, PE, CMP, dividend yield, net profit per quarter, and so on and so forth. Just a minute, guys. Okay, participants, do you have any more questions? Now, Mr. Amol, you're asking a very good question. I also came across the news that particularly Infosys, the promoters want to sell out their entire stake. That, if I'm not wrong, I remember it was 12.75% of the entire shareholding of the Infosys. They want him to sell shares. Probably, if I were you, I would think कि promoters do not have confidence in the future growth of the company. That is why they want to encash. So maybe it's a good signal for the retail investor also to get out of this company if they're holding in cash. But if you're asking that is it a right time to go short, you mean to say for the future options, that's a very risky call. Are you talking about the F&O portion, that's the derivatives? It's a very, very risky call. Mr. Amol, can you please clarify your question? You want to short sell in futures, or you want to do the short selling in the case of cash market? What are you talking about? In the Infosys counter, the cash market is available last trading at 949. So you can just sell at 949, but then if you're thinking about cash market, you know that in cash market, whenever you sell without owning the shares, then you have to buy it back the same day. Otherwise, the auction will happen. So it might so happen that you sell at 949, but during the day, by the time you try to buy it back, the market price climbs up, say to rupees 950, 960, 955. Then you might get a small amount of loss. It is better to stay away from the counter if you don't own the shares. But sure, this kind of news is showing that the IT sector is having bad days. In fact, they are having bad days for quite some time. Okay, you got any more questions, Mr. Amol, Ruchika, Mr. Mukesh? No questions from your side? Let me show you something. In the case of Infosys, if you decide to do the short selling, but in the F&O, not in the cash market. So in the case of F&O, the market lot is what 500, as you can see on the screen, and market price is 952. That is June series. So if you do the short selling, CMT and market lot is 500, CMT is 952. So suppose you see this news on the day after tomorrow, that is Monday, a trading day, you sell at 952. How many lots? One lot. So what will be the sell transaction value? Sell transaction value will be 500. Sorry, it will be one lot into lot size. Lot size is 500 only, into the price. So you're going to short sell, and your transaction value will be 4,76,000. So you obviously you have to buy it back the same day. Although you can buy it back the same day, you might not buy it back the same day, because this thing is possible only in the case of derivatives, future and options. So by the time you decide to buy it back, the price increases to rupees 960. Then again, what will be your buying price? What will be your buying transaction value? 4,80,000. So you will get a loss of 4,000 in a matter of few hours. If the price, instead of going down, the price has gone up to rupees 960. This is a real risk in the case of derivatives. Although I given you a very small example of rupees 8, but in real life, their stock can move by a much higher value. Just wanted to show you the other side of the coin, nothing else. Okay, Mr. Amol, if you buy this, whenever you are buying in the case of cash market you have to pay usually the full amount of money. In the cash market, if the stock is available at rupees 949 earlier, no? This is cash market, this is derivatives market. Okay, so in the cash market, you can buy 100 shares, you can buy 10 shares also. So irrespective of that, you have to pay. Suppose you decide to buy 10 shares at 949. So what will be the amount you need to pay? 9490, the full amount of money. But if you want to do the same transaction in the case of derivatives, you want to buy, then you don't have to pay full amount of 4,76,000. Sorry, you might be asked by your broker to pay only 25%, 25% or 30%. Sorry, 25% or 30%, or sometimes it can be 50% also. So this margin percentage, which I've just taken in my calculation as 25%, this can vary. This amount of margin, sorry, this percentage of margin is decided and maintained by the stock exchanges under the guidance of SEBI's rules. And this margin, all the brokers have to follow and take the margin from the customers. So you are submitting, you are depositing 1,19,000 and trading of what amount? 4,76,000. So what is your amount of leverage? This is known as leverage. You are doing leverage of 4 times. So this is usually the weapons of mass destructions, according to Warren Buffett. If you do not have to pay for a loss of, if you do not have this amount of money, that is nearly 5 lakhs or 4,76,000 to be very exact. If you don't have this kind of money, then you shouldn't be entering into derivatives transaction, because here you pay a very low margin and trade for a much higher value. It is very dangerous. Mr. Amol, I hope I am clear, either for the cash market or either for derivatives. Mr. Anand, you've got a very beautiful question. If you buy an option by paying full premium, obviously not you will have to pay only the premium. There is no question of paying the margin. Margin you will pay only when you sell the option. When you sell the option, you will get the premium plus you have to pay the margin. But if you buy an option, then no need to pay the margin. Only you will need to pay the premium. Okay. What's the next question? Dr. Avijit Bakshi, you have any more doubts? Harshita, Mukesh, Ruchika, you don't have any questions? Any doubts you have, please ask. Any more questions you have? Okay, what kind of out-of-box question you want to ask? What is your out-of-box question, Mr. Amol? I guess that your child is still doing his or her the graduation thing. So if he or she is into graduation, then if you want to make him or her enter into capital markets, you have to decide what kind of tendency he or she has. Whether you want to enter him into a back office job or into a research analyst job or into a technical analysis job or into training job. There are many options. So as I said, options can be into back office where only paperwork is involved but payment is very low. If you want to go into high funda stuff, then you have to go for technical research analyst or fundamental research analyst, or even better, that is into sales, where you have to go and sell to customer your company's financial product. And lastly, you can go into training, but training you can only become a trainer only when you have at least 5 years, 10 years of experience. So I think apart from training, all other options are there, wherein your child can enter as a fresher. Although this was an out-of-box question, but it was still relevant to us, so not to worry. You have any more thoughts, any more doubts, you can still ask me, not to feel ashamed. All of us are here to learn only. Okay, rest of the guys, if you have any questions, please ask. If there are no more questions, then I would request to you that can I wrap up the session for today? Although it is half an hour early, but if you don't have any questions, then we can wrap up the session. Yes, Mr. Woodley, this is the first session. going as per the line. I'm going to say as per your module. No. I would explain, Mr. Murli. Just give me 1 minute. Actually, whenever we launch a new batch in the offline, I want to say in our Kolkata center, that is physical center, simultaneously we launch an online batch, that is online batch for ECRTA or ENCCMP. Then as our sessions they progress in the physical classroom, say first 10 class or first 20 class, that is what we call a session 1. Then after that we hold a doubt solving session, and the entire schedule you can find it on our website. In the list of webinars you can find the entire schedule, that what is going to be the next topic for the webinar, and on what date, what time, and who is going to take the webinar. The entire schedule is put up on our website. Mr. Murli, I hope I am able to solve your doubt. There is no such thing that few sessions have been completed. It is not like that. This was the first session only. Okay, you've got any more questions? No? Okay, then I would just like to show you something. You know, you've heard about a stock called L&T, Larsen and Toubro. So the face value is ₹2. Face value is ₹2, and 52-week high of the stock is ₹1834 nearly. It's trading somewhere near that only. So recently this company announced few days back a bonus of 1:2, a bonus ratio of 1:2. How do you read this bonus ratio? Can anybody among you tell me? Bonus ratio of 1:2. The Excel has taken its own format. Actually, it is 1:2. Whenever any company announces this bonus ratio in this format, then have you read your book? Can you please come out with your answer? How do you interpret it? Any thoughts? आप ट्राई कर सकते हो. There is no harm in trying. Mr. Mukesh, Mr. Murli, 1 share for every 2 shares. Correct, Harshita. That's right. So whatever numbers you are seeing on the right hand side, that is your holding in your Demat account, and whatever number you are seeing on your left hand, that is the free portion which you will get. And recently this company had also announced that 14th of July will be the record date. And if you read your books, you will find that whenever will be the record date, 2 days before that the share will become X price. So if the share suppose the share is now trading at 1780, say even on the record date, 2 days before that, 2 days before the record date, it will become X price. So earlier price was 1780. So on the 12th of July, the share price will fall in some ratio. In what ratio? It will fall to the extent of this, that for every 2 shares, 1 share will be given. So the share price will fall on 12th of July only. But obviously to get this bonus, you must have the shares in your Demat account on the record date, 14th of July. But 2 days before that, the share price falls. This is known as the X date. Actually, I'm talking about a chapter known as the corporate action. In your module 1, if you go through, this kind of action is known as corporate action. Besides the dividends, bonus, stock split, all these are examples of corporate actions. Mr. Anand, can you tell me that what else could have this company done to increase the liquidity in the counter? You see the share price is very high, 1780, 1780 rupees nearly. Besides giving the bonus, what else could have the company done to lower the price and to increase the participation of the retail investors? Any idea? This question is not only to Mr. Anand but to everybody in the group. Yes, stock split. So you see the face value is rupees 2. If the company makes the new face value is rupees 1, then if you have 100 shares before the stock split, what will be the new number of shares in your demat account after the stock split? It will obviously be 200 shares. It will become double. Earlier the CMP was 1780. Now the CMP will be reduced in the same proportion. CMP will also come down. Are you getting the whole idea? The stock split can also be an example of a corporate action wherein the company would want to reduce the CMP either by bonus or either by stock split. Number of shares in a demat account increases, CMP falls, so actually you don't get any loss. No question of loss. But in the long run, when the CMP starts to rise again, then obviously you can make a good profit. No, Mr. Abhijit Bakshi, it is not at all necessary to hold the share for 1 year for getting dividend. It all depends upon when you have got in. I would say when you have got into the share. I'll just show you the example of some another company. If you go to this screen, Indian Oil, just giving the example from the name of this company, Indian Oil Corporation. Go to company information tab. You will see that usually they give out whenever they have given any corporate action. You can check out this. You can check out the dates on which date they have declared the dividend and what will be the record date. So before the record date, you can just enter the share. You can have the shares in a demat account to get the dividend, then you can sell it out. So this is absolutely not necessary to hold the share for one period, for I would say for full 1 year. You just have to track what could be the record date for dividend or what could be the record date for bonus. Just track the date and make sure that these shares are into your demat account on the record date, so that you are eligible to receive the benefits. After that, you can sell it out if you are able to do so at a profit. Otherwise, you might have to hold for some period, for few months. Actually, that can be. So I told you, say coming back to previous example, like L&T. L&T declared a bonus ratio of 1:2. For every 2 shares, they will give you 1 share free. Okay, but how will they know that among all my shareholders in India, who is eligible to receive this bonus? So that is why they declare a particular date as the record date. Like L&T, I remember they came out with this announcement of 1:2 ka bonus 15 days back. 15 days back. So today is what? Today is 10th of June. So in the last week of May, probably they came out with this announcement. And record date they have given us 14th of July. I've seen the difference. So they have given plenty of opportunity, plenty of ample time to the retail shareholders that they must be having, I mean to say, anybody who wants to have the bonus shares for free should be having the shares in their demat account on a particular date that is known as the record date, which in this case is 14th of July. So whenever you buy, you should plan it out that you should have the number of shares, whatever number of shares you want to buy in your demat account on the 14th of July. Only then you will be eligible to get this bonus shares for free. Are you getting me? But the price itself will fall 2 days before, because this is known as the X date. X date, it is 2 days before the record date. So technically speaking, if you buy on 12th of July, you will not be getting any bonus. You have to complete your buying before 12th July. You can buy any time before 12th July so as to have the delivery of demat, so as to have the delivery of shares in your demat account by 14th of July. Only then you will be able to get the bonus. Anand, Dr. Abhijit Bakshi, I hope it's clear. Any more queries you have? You can always check out the corporate actions from the NSE website. as well as from the various newspapers also you can track the corporate actions. Like in the case of Vedanta, you can go to this company information. You can see checkout on the right hand side of the screen, where the place where my cursor is interim dividend. Anytime during the year the company declares a dividend, it is known as the interim dividend. But if the company declares dividend at the time of annual general meeting, that is at the time of annual result, then it is sometimes known as the final dividend. So you can just check out, you can plan that when I should buy to get this benefit. Okay, Mr. Bakshi, Mr. Amol, I think you have a new question. Can you explain how to analyze the 5 best quotes available? Great. You are talking about this thing, top gainers, top losers. Is this what you are asking about? How to analyze the 5 best quotes? What do you mean by 5 best quotes? Can you please clarify? Okay, so we are going to talk about a single stock. I'm afraid I cannot show you the quotes because today it is not a trading day, but I think you are talking about this thing, Mr. Amol. You just have to see that at what price maximum number of shares buyers and sellers are available, and at what price you want to sell or at what price you want to buy. So essentially you are going to see what the order book. The order book you can see on a live trading day that buyers are ready to buy at different prices, sellers are willing to sell at different prices, and what quantity you want to buy or sell. You just plan it accordingly by seeing the order book. What is the current status of the demand and supply of shares? That is a depth. What kind of depth are you talking about, or what kind of depth do you want? Do you want me to explain? What kind of depth are you talking about? Market depth, I'm afraid I'm not understanding your term, but I can show you something known as market breadth. Just a minute, Mr. Bakshi. On any given day, I want to say on the live trading day, you will find on the NSE as well as on BSE something known as advances and declines. You will know that in the NSE in the Nifty there are 50 shares. 50, not 50, but actually it is 51. So out of 51 shares, 26 shares, the price have increased for last trading day, that is yesterday only, and 25 shares have declined. This is known as market breadth. But what are you asking about market depth? I'm not getting it, sorry. But I can explain to you something known as market breadth. This is the market breadth. Is the market in a negative mood or is the market in a positive mood? This you can know. This is available both on NSE, BSE, and they also keep on showing it during the whole day on CNBC also. The market breadth. And what is ETF? For that, just let me take you to one live example. On the NSE screen, you just type it out, ETF. Say if you talk about this Nifty ETF, let me take it out for you. Yeah. So either you buy the National Stock Exchange. How can you buy the National Stock Exchange, Mr. Bakshi? Is it possible for you to buy Nifty 50 at 9668? You can see on the top right corner of the screen. It is possible to buy Nifty 50 at this price, but only in the F&O market, that is into the derivatives market. And to buy or to sell in the derivatives market is highly risky. So what people usually do, they can go and buy ETF, exchange traded fund. So ETF stands for what? Exchange traded fund. Whenever any fund is traded over the exchange, that becomes an exchange traded fund. So in this case, the ETF is that of Nifty. So whosoever wants to buy Nifty but is not capable or is not having the risk capacity to invest 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, I mean to say the kind of risk which you should be having in the derivatives market, then he or she can go to the ETF market and select which ETF I should buy, which is representing Nifty. So in the case of Nifty 50, this ETF is maintained by SBI. So you can buy any number of units. There is no lot system. You can buy 1 unit, you can buy 10 units, you can buy 20 units, whatever quantity as per your capacity. You also have the order book here. You can see at what prices people are ready to buy or sell. Accordingly, you can plan your trade. I'll show you some other examples of ETF also. There is also the Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty, if you see in the case of equities, suppose if the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, they come out with a monetary policy day after tomorrow, just for example. So you want to bet, you want to plan a trade on the Bank Nifty. So either you go out in the futures options market, wherein the Bank Nifty is of a very high trading size. I'll just show you what is the high trading size. You want to bet on the Bank Nifty. There are actually 12 companies in the Bank Nifty index. 12 companies: SBI, HDFC, ICICI, and there are few more. There are 12 large banks together. They constitute the Bank Nifty. So whenever the RBI comes out with some policy announcement, or whether there is any government announcement which is going to affect positively or negatively the banking sector, either you can plan your play. I'm to say you can plan a trade on the Bank Nifty, but you can see lot size is 40 and price is what, 23,000. Sorry, more than 23,000. So here you have to buy or sell minimum in the case of lot size, in terms of lot size. But if you go to only equity and just type ETF, you go to this, you can buy at a price of 240 and with no obligation from your side to buy in the lot size of 40. I want to say here you can buy in terms of 1 unit, 2 unit, 5 units, whatever as per your capacity. So ETF is what it is representing, an underlying index. So SBI ETF Nifty Bank, I want to say Bank Nifty ETF is representing what? It is representing the underlying Bank Nifty. So all the ETF represent some underlying, some index. You can also take the example of gold ETF. You want to bet on gold, instead of buying physical gold, you can buy gold ETF maintained by SBI. Are you getting me? ETFs are nothing but they are exchange traded fund and they always represent some underlying index, some underlying commodity. So they are very good tool to trade because it is more easy to buy and sell and to keep it in a demat account rather than maintaining physical stock. Okay, Mr. Bakshi, I guess I've been able to help you out with this ETF. Any more doubts on ETF? Any more doubts, guys? No, ETF is into cash market. F&O segment is separate. F&O segment means derivatives and ETF is always into cash market. You can keep it in your demat account for many years, but F&O you cannot keep it in your account for more than 1 month. Mr. Amol, Harshita, Mukesh, Ruchika, please ask if you have any more queries. We have 15 more minutes. wherein we can continue the session. Anand, one Anish Singh has joined us in the middle of the session. Hello Anish, you have any question? Sorry, I didn't notice you joining our session. Anyway, you can still ask if you have any questions. Okay. You have got any doubts? Friends, have you got any doubts regarding the corporate action, bonus, dividend, stock split? You have any doubts regarding that? These are all very basic but important corporate actions if you want to make money. Okay guys, I guess we are done with today's session. Do you have any more questions? No? Anand is too eager to go. Just joking. Okay Anand, see you in the next session perhaps. Have a nice weekend. It was great answering to your questions. Bye. Bye everybody.